or thrown into a psych ward like me and drugged to lose their mind, guarded, and prevented from leaving a facility because they had too much information. And so therefore they were going to be dumbed down as mentally ill. I'm sorry for the people who have gone to jail for things that they haven't done, because I've been falsely arrested at least 10 times since about 1998. I guess not taken away to jail since 1998, but given citations for things that I haven't done, put under investigations and slandered when there was no cause for it. And then full-blown being thrown into jail, false arrests, multiple times, from 2000, from basically after the point that I reported the FBI agents and started to figure out a few things. So anyway, I read something today, and I'm not going to go into some sort of routine where I start reading scripture online, because that seems a little bit, I don't know. But I just turned randomly to this after praying, and I have something else that I need to address that I want to do today. But this is what I read after the short prayer. And it was just randomly turning to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 8:11. And I've read the Bible many times. I've maybe one time completely front to back, but typically I've maybe read different books. Total, I have no idea how many times. I mean, since I was 9, I've been reading the Bible. Maybe since I was about 8, but especially I remember since 9, I was reading like full books at a time. Because I remember I was in my bedroom one time at age 9, and reading the book of Romans, and my dad came in and I talked with him about it. And I was only 9 years old, but I remember thinking it resonated with me, and thinking I couldn't believe somebody had written about the human condition and feelings and the motives that are in the heart, and so correctly. So, I mean, I read a lot of books. I was a very big reader ever since I've been able to read. I wanted to learn my alphabet early. Nobody would show me. I had to wait until I was in school to be able to read, because nobody would allow me to read early. But I remember that I had an interest, because I kept asking my mother to teach me the alphabet and how to read before I was in kindergarten. And then for whatever reason, they didn't want to do that. And probably since we've all been part of this MK Ultra program, there are different people who have been dictating what I learn, when I learn it, and how well I do. I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't had anything to do with that, but there's definitely been some interesting things that have influenced the way that I was raised and what things I was able to do. So I remember I read a lot of like Nancy Drew books and juvenile literature when I was a little girl. But then I remember finding this section in Romans, the Bible, about why do I do what I don't want to do. And the book there is very much like, it's philosophy. It's the philosophy of the condition of man and the thoughts of man. Why why are we motivated to do sometimes things that we don't want to do? And why do we sometimes not do what we really do want to do? And why do we not do that? And then it talks about, I see that even though I want to so badly to do the right thing, there is another law at work, a spiritual law, that it wrestles against that. Kind of like the good angel and the bad angel on the shoulder idea. You know, you've got your little person over here saying, do this, do this. Then you got your little person over here saying, no, 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 no. Don't listen to that. You should do what you want to do. And this is what I think would be really a great idea. So, or it's, you know, I mean, like you see it in cartoons and different shows, you know, the little devil and your angel or the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder whispering in your ear, that kind of a thing. Basically, I've got the United States torturing me to my ear all the time. It's kind of like having the devil in your ear all the time, and that's, you know, brings out the best in me, as you can see. But, as a little girl, so then it talks about how I find that there is this law at work within me, and it wrestles against this spiritual law where I want so badly to do what I think is right and good. And this is the law of sin. And this is a spiritual law that comes in and wants to alter what good intentions we might have, or the different things that would be best for our lives. And so then it goes on to say, so what then can I do when I do what I don't want to do? And I find I'm constantly in a struggle between good and bad, and good and bad. And it says, thank goodness that I realize I can never be perfect, but that something can be salvaged because of the grace and goodness and blessing of Jesus Christ, my Savior and Lord, who died for me on the cross, and whose blood has covered all of my transgressions, all of my sins, and the things that I've done wrong, and helped me to move forward and to have the strength to continue to strive for what is good, even when I know that I am not always going to achieve that goal at all times because of my weaknesses, my normal, natural human frailties, which everyone has, and it's common to man, it's common to every culture and to every race. And the remedy, of course, is different in different religions. It's not, for the Hindus probably, it's not Jesus Christ. For them, it's something else. For the Jews, it's not Jesus Christ, of course. For the Muslims, it's not Jesus Christ. I mean, I think they do believe that Jesus was a prophet and a good person. But different cultures have, different religions have different ways of recognizing that there is this force that pulls you from one side to the other. And sometimes we don't even pay that much attention to it. I think we do a lot of things unconsciously, and we are not always presented with a big monumental decision on what's the right thing to do every day. I mean, thank goodness, because that'd be very stressful. But I think a lot of times our reactions are just our reactions, and we think about it later, and it's unfortunately something, we just have to say, oh, that was horrible that I reacted that way, but I'm sorry and I have to move on. So what I wanted to address before I continue to move on with what I've been talking about is that I am being tortured, and during this torture, as I say, it has not brought out the best in me at all times. And one thing that I got very lax about is I did start swearing. And I swear quite a lot when I'm being tortured. And if that is a stumbling block, even when I'm writing stuff like that, I know it doesn't sound good, it doesn't sound very Christian, doesn't sound very, whatever. To me, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's I think that God looks at the heart and knows deep inside what's inside somebody, and that just mere words are not really mere words that someone uses knowing that they might be kind of wrong to use, but they just use them because it feels like something they can do to give them a satisfaction in the moment, and there's nothing else to describe what's happening. I don't think it's really that big a deal. However, if others have been influenced in how they think about me or what they think I'm conveying in any way, and if it's affected someone and how they treat another person with regard to whether they are supporters of me or not. You know, for example, how can you support this woman because look at this kind of thing that she writes. You know, if it's affected the opinions of others who then look at others who are trying to support me. I'm very sorry about that perception that might be had. I have tried to work at it. I don't think that it's going to go away immediately. I don't know if it'll ever completely go away because I sometimes like to use that a word or two here or there. But for those who really find it intolerable, because for most of my life I found swearing intolerable and really kind of made me cringe, then I am sorry that if that stands in the way of being able to more easily accept me. And the other thing that I wanted to address is that I have made some really horrible comments. Just think I'm an equal opportunity offender. I don't believe I've ever singled out one specific group and just said these people or this kind of group is horrible, or I don't think I've offended just one kind of group. I think I've offended almost every group, probably at different times, by being upset while I'm being tortured and trying to figure out who's responsible for some of this, and then lashing out and going after, you know, this person, that group, this group, and different people who have been involved or who have been brought into my life by the real perpetrators who wanted me to think that it was other groups that were involved. And at different times while being harassed, I've even said things about, you know, just been rude, you know, saying I can't understand what you're, you know, I can't understand your accent or whatever, and then, you know, just being rude about something. I want to talk to an American, I can't understand your accent. And, which is ironic because, you know, but at different times, just if I've ever said anything that has been offensive or sounded prejudicial in any way, I think in general most people know that I'm not a person who's prejudiced against any group. But if I have ever personally offended someone who didn't understand what kind of duress I've been under, I apologize for that. And for any insult that you may have felt, it wasn't, most of the time for those accidental things, it really was not intended to be a very deeply felt insult at all. It was just something that, you know, I was saying at the time. And I'm telling you, too, that it's supposedly not justification to be tortured and say different things, but being riled and harassed and having my son tortured. Imagine having somebody bring your child to you every day with a piece of skin missing from his body and new bruises all over his body, and then torturing you privately at your house, taking away everything that you ever had when you're talented and you have things to offer. And they're repressing you, and you're in this country that's supposed to be this free country where anybody can do whatever they want to do if they put their mind to it. So in addition to repressing me and oppressing me and torturing me,